Today I'm going to go over how to take a soil sample for your garden or giant pumpkin patch. This is my giant pumpkin patch I'm in right now, which I'm taking a soil sample for, but you could do this for your garden at home as well. So the tools I have are this soil probe. This used to be my dad's. I'm borrowing it, but he used it on his fields to take soil samples. I got a bucket to put my soil sample in, and then a tool to get the soil out because it gets kind of compacted sometimes in this hole on the end of the probe. I tried to use a plastic, I think it was a driveway marker, to push it out. And what happened is it kept chipping off pieces of plastic in my soil, or in my sample. So I decided not to do that. So I just use a screwdriver now to push it out and get it into the bucket. Before I go any further, could you please leave a comment down below and let me know if you have taken a soil sample before, and if you have, has it made a difference in what you're growing in your garden or giant pumpkin patch? I believe it's probably one of the most important things if you want to get good size for a giant pumpkin. Prior to doing a soil test, my biggest pumpkin was 1,430 pounds. And after I did a soil test and amended the soil to my needs or of the patch, I gained 500 pounds of my personal best. So I went up to 1970 and a half pounds the first time I ever did a soil test. So I think it is key if you want to get bigger gains with giant pumpkins or grow better vegetables in your garden. So to get started with taking a soil sample in your garden or a giant pumpkin patch, what you want to do is you want to remove the top maybe 1 or 2 inches of soil to kind of get rid of the sticks, anything else that is going to contaminate your sample, like animal droppings or whatever may be in your patch from over winter or just over the years. So you want to remove probably a good 1 to 2 inches from the top. And you just take, if you have a probe, you could use a shovel or whatever you have if you don't want to buy a probe. But you just kind of work it into the ground. And you want to push it in probably a good 8 to 10 inches deep. And just kind of work it in. And then you'll pull it straight up and take your sample and try to make sure to get all of it in your bucket. You don't want to waste any of the soil because then you won't get an accurate sample. But basically get it all into the bucket and then push it out the hole here the best you can. Before I started, I made sure that I didn't have rust all over this tube. I made sure to clean it up and made sure that there was no soil from a previous year. I didn't want those samples to contaminate what I'm currently doing. This is my first year in this giant pumpkin patch, so I didn't want to use soil. I didn't want any soil in here from previous years where I've already amended my patch. So I want to make sure that it was clean, completely clean before I started. So after you take a sample, you'll want to go throughout your patch or your garden and take probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 different samples from different spots, kind of spread out evenly throughout your patch. Because you want to spread out your samples evenly throughout your patch, because that will give you a good overall idea of what your patch is like when you send the sample in. So if you can see behind me, my giant pumpkin patch here is 3,000 square feet. I actually just sent it in a couple days ago, but I am only doing one soil test for this whole patch. So I went throughout the whole patch and took samples. I think I did 12 to 14. I can't remember how many I took. You basically want to have about 2 cups of soil when you're done that you can send in. So taking a little bit more than that's a good idea. But I am planning to grow 3 giant pumpkins in this patch. So some people would do a sample per pumpkin, but I didn't want to go through the effort of having to pay to mail in multiple different samples and pay for the different tests. So I am just doing one for this because it's all been the same ground. It's got grass hay on it right now, and I haven't amended it at all other than adding a little bit of compost last fall. So I am just doing one sample, and I'll use that, and it'll be good enough for this year, and we'll see where it gets us. Now that you've collected your sample and have it in your bucket, it will look something like this. You probably have chunks like this of soil. What I do is I end up breaking them up into smaller pieces, and I let them dry for a few days, just so they get broken down and they're not extra wet in here. Part of that is because the drier the soil, the less it weighs, and the cheaper the shipping is going to be. But I like to let it dry out, break it up, and then I do all my soil tests so far through Western Laboratories. They're in Idaho. They were recommended to me by other growers. They have specific tests for giant pumpkins. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but on their testing sheet, they got one that's here. It's labeled Atlantic Giant Pumpkin Analysis. There's different ones, but I do this test number 75. It's a complete soil test for Atlantic Giant Pumpkins. That's the one I do. It's like $55. And then on the bottom of this form here, it asks you to describe your pumpkin patch. I just draw my patch is a rectangle. So I just draw a rectangle and put the dimensions. Mine's actually 40 feet by 75 feet. But you can go on their website, westernlaboratories.com, I think is what it is. And you can go there's a page where you can shop or whatever. And they have, I think it's called Giants of the Garden Starter Kit. And they will mail you some information on collecting soil samples, send you free soil bags. If you're going to do a tissue test at some point, you can get tissue bags as well. But you can go on there and get some free supplies for sending soil samples back into them. I don't have any bags on me right now to show you because I just sent my soil sample in yesterday. But you can go out to their website and they'll send you this information. I got this from that. I think it came in my starter kit that I got from them. And then they have this, what was sent to me, and I'm not sure if they send it all the time, but there's this knowledge for giant pumpkin and watermelon growers information they sent as well. So that's just some information on where I send my sample to. I will do a video probably when I get my sample back, when I get my results back. But I'll do a video there as well, just to kind of go over what I look at and what I do with it. I do have a video already from the previous years, but I'll go through this one as well. But just make sure when you're filling out the paperwork and in your soil sample bags, that you make sure that this paperwork, if you have more than one sample, the paperwork matches up with the ID of your garden. So if you have like a big patch and a little patch or something, you want to make sure to put those on here so they know which one it's for. And then when you get the results back, you know which one the results are for, so you don't get them mixed up. But you want to make sure your email address is on here because I've always gotten my results via email, so I'm assuming that's how they send most of them. So if you don't have an email on here, I'm not sure how they get you your results. I don't know if I really covered this, but I just put my samples, whatever, up to the fill line on the bags. It's probably about 2 cups. I put it in their bag. I end up putting that in a Ziploc bag just in case it spills. And then I package it in a box, and then I take it to the post office and figure out how much it costs to ship there. You could do FedEx, UPS, whatever you want to do. But then once it gets there, I think it's a few days before I typically see the results. But if you have any questions, if I didn't cover something that you're wondering about, just questions in general about giant pumpkin growing, just reach out, drop me a comment down below, and I will get back to you. I do answer all questions, or I try to at least, so hopefully I'll get back to you. But yeah, just please Please subscribe to my channel. It helps out a lot, and like this video and share if you want. Thanks.